We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
In recognition of great African American achievers, this Black History Month, let's bring our A game.
Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly values, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. I am so sorry. I'm just going on and on, but I'm reading everybody's super chat is what I'm doing. So thank you so much for that. My apologies. Shocks 112, thank you so much for your contribution. Miss Lucchese said your mic is on mute, no sound. Sorry, my apologies for that. Please forgive me for that. Bruce Edwards says no audio. Thank you so much. I'm not going to give you a show with no audio. Thank you so much, Lydell, for your super sticker. I really, really appreciate it. Let me go ahead and get on down to what we're really here for. We have obviously a wonderful man who I admire greatly. Without too much further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring him up and introduce him to everyone. Good afternoon, Sir Judge Joe Brown. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fine. All right. Got a little hoarse. I was speaking to a bunch of kids Saturday. There was this thing of I'm getting an echo back there. Let's see, is that you or is that me? Yeah, anyway.
There is a little bit of an echo. Give me one moment. My apologies, everyone. Let me fix this echo really quickly so you guys can have a good show. Okay, I do believe.
Let's see if I got it.
Okay.
I didn't hear an echo then.
Got it. Okay, I think we've got it fixed. I had to do a little bit of, shake and bake, but we're good. Thank you so much for being patient, everyone. I know that most of us are familiar with you. First of all, I'd like to welcome you to my platform. I watch your show that you do with Dana, and it's really informative. I really enjoy all of your different perspectives. And so what I want to do for my audience, I know that most of us are familiar with you, but for those who are not as familiar with you as they should be, or familiar with your work, please just give us a quick sort of history of Judge Joe Brown, like your like ambition. Did you always want to go into law?
No, I didn't
work?
always want to go.
No.
Never thought about being a lawyer, as a matter of fact. That stinks to Ronald Reagan. I grew up in Los Angeles, California. I'm a little hoarse talking to some kids. It was at a firearms training course for 1st through 7th graders and their mothers. And I was trying to project to the back of the room with no microphone. But anyhow, no, I never wanted to be a lawyer. That was not high on my list of things to do. It just happened that way. I had a different kind of major entirely, actually, several. And St. Ron the Reagan became governor of California, and he decided to destroy the free higher education system that we had then. Wipe stuff out. So the NOM was going on, and I had a choice of taking this minor, political science, and making it my major, and graduating and working from there, or going directly to the NOM, do not pass, go. You've already been to boot camp. So yeah, okay, very nasty situation. So I declared political science, and the question was, what am I going to do? And somebody said, why don't you teach? I said, oh, I'm not teaching political science. Oh, real? No way. And well, be a lawyer. I don't want to be a lawyer, but I wound up being a lawyer, and that's been more than a half century ago. So it is what it is. Now, when I got that show for 15 years, I was in my 50s. So that wasn't much of my life. It was a very interesting part of it, but it wasn't what I'd done. So I can give you a brief recitation. Out in LA, let's see, I dug ditches, I was in the construction unions, I was a teamster, loaded trucks. Oh, let's see, worked as a salesperson in some department stores, including Sears, Roebuck. Then, let's say, I was a playground director, and if you know Los Angeles, it was Trinity Avenue Elementary School. There was now Dr. Ron Chappelle, now the late Dr. Clifford Stewart, both really heavyweight martial artists, and yours truly. And we ran this playground. We had 2 students that you probably heard of. Barry White, the late singer, who was a skinny 12-year-old when we knew him. And Tookie Williams, the last person they executed on California's death row, who they say helped start the Crips. For what that's worth. Now, we turned it around. We had an early version of Man Up that we were doing, and it worked, and a lot of our students made it in life. I was the DJ at a short range radio station we had, and I implemented this Man Up thing that I still do today. I was a substitute teacher out there in junior high and high school. And since then, I've done the same thing, been an adjunct college professor, been a scoutmaster for 10, 12, 15 years. And let's see, got a fellowship out of Howard University. I went to UCLA Law School and as an undergrad. Mm-hmm. But out of Howard, I had this community lawyer fellowship. So I did poverty law in Memphis. I worked with EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. I was the first Black prosecutor for the city of Memphis. I ran the public defender's office for the city. And then in the late 1970s, I went into private practice, did that, specialized in criminal and civil trial work, mostly criminal, wound up training the public defender's capital defense team, tried, 42 first-degree murder cases where the death penalty was demanded, bunch of other homicide cases besides that. Got the youngest kid in the world on death row, off death row, got his conviction set aside. Spent about $50K of my own money to do that. Didn't make a dime off of the case, but it was a pro bono thing, basically. Then I got elected to the first of 2 8-year terms as a criminal court judge. I wound up being the last judge on the James Earl Ray Martin Luther King matter. It was my conclusion that Ray did not kill King. Actually, the FBI set it up, supplied the murder weapon and the ammunition. It was a 2-man hit team recruited from the military, most likely Quantico, Virginia, where the Marine Corps had a sniper school and the FBI had a training academy, and it was an XM-21. And the ammo was custom supplied. We have the inventory from April of 68 in the invoice from 67, where the FBI got 5 of these kinds of weapons that had some unique ballistics that matched what they pulled out of King's body. And then in April 1968, they claimed they lost one. We know the serial number of the murder weapon, most likely, because that's the missing rifle. Now, aside from that, I got some claim to notoriety in Tennessee because the statewide recidivism rate was 80%. That is, somebody gets convicted of a felony, it's 80% probability they'll be back. Well, in my courtroom, it got reduced down to 18% because I put in a man-up campaign. And unlike every other judge in the United States, I went out and I patrolled by myself the areas where a lot of my defendants lived. And it was a matter of, hey, you come here. What you want? Oh. Didn't I tell you you're supposed to be in at 10 o'clock until I tell you otherwise? It's 11:30. I'll see you day after tomorrow at 10. You understand me?
Impose that manhood on
I didn't ask. People are jumping. Man, what you hope my home if I said I didn't ask you? So this A and B conversation. If you want to listen, I'll give you the lecture I gave him. I'm going to give him. And 5, 6 hours later, the sun would be coming up and it'd be 15, 20 young men getting Judge Joe's thing on how to man up. See, when you teach some young brother how to be a man, he's got a purpose. He doesn't say, yo, man, I'm 22. I'm going to be dead for I'm 24, man. What difference do it make?
Right.
Well, yeah,
give him a purpose.
You don't mind being a hero and dying for you people instead of trying to take them out. I have a plan for you. I'm recruiting you.
Exactly.
So when you get this plan, he looks in the mirror when you put it in his head and he says, oh, man, were you a man yesterday, dude? You're going to be one today. You're going to prepare to be a better one tomorrow. And that keeps him focused. So you can say there's all kinds of hell going on around him, but it's his duty and obligation and honor to provide for and protect those he's responsible for. So if there's no daylight at the end of the tunnel for him, he can go kill off the fire-breathing Gila monsters that are setting fire to the place, and the smoke and flames are obscuring the daylight. So he can be a hero. And that focuses somebody. And I get people walking up to me 30 years later, wanting to shake my hand. Judge, you remember me? No,
for
sir,
saving
I
his
don't.
life.
You gave me some time, Judge. Did I give you enough? Well, yeah, but see, that thing about man, it's like now I got a grandkids and I've been married for 25 years.
Straighten it right on up.
Kids went to
Exactly.
college. I got a bunch of boys. I'm trying to teach what you taught me. Yeah, it worked. I want to help out. What can I do?
Exactly. So would you say this was sort of the inspiration for you deciding to run for mayor in Memphis, Tennessee?
Well, not quite. I'd always been working on this, and I do this anyway still right now. You can find me sometimes walking around in places where folks are, what are you doing down there? Because I need to be here. So I think that being a mayor, you can do a lot more. And an old friend of mine, Dr. Barbara Cooper, the late Dr. Barbara Cooper, recruited me about 2.5 going on 3 years ago. She said, Joe, you need to do this, please, for me. Now, Miss Barbara Cooper slipped and fell, and she died as a result of complications about 2-3 months ago, month ago.
Sorry to hear
And
that.
she was the oldest person in the Tennessee legislature. She was 93 when she passed away untimely. Now, I'd known her since 1974 when we were both on the Title I committee with the Board of Education. And chair of the committee was Dr. W.W. Harrington, who became superintendent of schools and then 5-term mayor for Memphis. And I did some legal work for him a time or two, and our friend. So Dr. Cooper said, you got to come out here and do your thing, get down in there with the people. See, and our strategy that we cooked up was the people need to run the city, but the only person on the horizon where they can run the city through is you, because you represent the people. You always have. And it's like, yeah, I got all kinds of high-priced education, but, it's always been the people. And I still speak like that, even though a lot of my colleagues, well, we have a dichotomy that we have to face here. And it's interesting. Tom passed me some more of that. Is that a red wine or what is it? Merlot? I prefer Chablis, but I'll take that. And those are just heavenly crackers over there. Cheese is just superb, And Judge, I think you've been down there. What are they thinking? Like, dude, get off of it, man.
Right, let's get down to business. We're going to talk regular today. Wow. Okay. So I can definitely understand that. And thank you for sharing all of that. I want everyone to be aware that Judge Joe Brown is running. He is running for mayor in Memphis, Tennessee. So for any of my subscribers, anyone listening who frequents the show, or even if you don't frequent the show, I would encourage everyone to, if you're living in Memphis, Tennessee, vote for Judge Joe Brown.
Well, let me direct you to my campaign website.
Okay.
Judge Joe Brown, that's JJB2023.com. JJB2023.com. There you go. Not a bad looking guy for old man.
Not a bad looking guy.
I ain't good as I used to be, but most of the time I'm better than I ever was. But that's
I know that's right. I know that's right. So anyone,
so
please
I get out and run
a
jog, fast walk 2 miles every day. Have a dog that I have to take out and do the 3D thing for, drain and dump the dog, but the exercise. And I lost a bit of weight last year. In very good health now. The doctors tell me go every 6 weeks for a checkup, and they say you should live a long time. So let's spend it doing public service and selling sauce.
I've heard that.
JJBBQ.com. That's the sauce. Best you've ever bought. And where are you located?
I am in Chicago, Illinois. I've been here all of my life. So that's just
Well,
where I've been born
I
and
like
raised.
Chicago. I don't like
Okay.
what it's become now, but I
No.
used to live over on 71st and Constance at one time. That's been a half century ago. I was doing this intern thing with a DC think tank between Chicago, DC, and Delaware. So I was back and forth, in and out, and doing some stuff. I like Chicago.
Yeah.
Usually I like to walk around, but I understand it's quite exciting these days.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, of course, Chicago always has its pockets of neighborhoods where that's not crime and things of that nature aren't too, much of a concern necessarily. I've lived, of course, in those, harder areas, those hood areas, I guess you could call them, and, to be serenaded with gunshots and things of that nature. So I've definitely lived there, lived on the west side, lived on the south side. So, it's a beautiful city physically, like you want to
Oh,
walk
I
around
like it. I've been back there
downtown and all of the different
recently.
neighborhoods. But
I
yeah,
like
it's more violent now.
I like it as a place, but I think it's being run pretty poorly. And the other thing is nobody seems to have a clue with what to do with the youth. One of the worst problem aspects of this problem is that I've seen a half century worth of dysfunction glorified, and I've watched the deterioration. And what I see right now is compounding the problem, because instead of doing those things that are necessary to turn things around, it's just more of the same. So you keep trying to emasculate these boys, and the problem is that masculinity is the thing that keeps boys and men doing what they ought to do. When you're properly masculated, when you're a man, it's your business to make where you live a better, safer, more secure place filled with economic prosperity, sense of purpose, morality, ethics. You have a cause, and you are trying to set up economic prosperity. You are men of public peace, dignity, and order who can be brave and courageous when necessary. That's what manhood is about. And what you get right now is, unlike 55 years ago, you went to a movie and when they had black folk in there, they were trying to be about the business of supporting families, leadership, or doing something that was constructive. Now we have pimps, hoes, drug dealers, thieves, murderers, gang bangers, burglars, and folk that terrorize the community. And that's supposed to be okay? No, it's not. But that's what we glorify. And we
That
see
is.
these characters that are trying to be everything but men. And you see, boys don't work too well if they don't have this manhood thing in their head. It's like, what am I supposed to be?
What am I?
See,
Right.
our long history
Exactly.
is we had to provide for and protect. We had to be willing in our heads when the next Titanic went down to say, ma'am, you and your child, you have my seat in the lifeboat. I'll drown with the ship when it sinks in the icy water. Or maybe in space someplace it'll go off into a star going over. I don't know.
Right.
But you have to be ready, and that takes a lot. And we are not putting that in the boys' heads. And nowadays, somebody comes up, I want your seat in the lifeboat. But wait a minute, are you a woman? Well, I've got on a dress.
Exactly.
No, get the hell out of here. You go over that way.
And so,
manhood is manhood, and it
Mhm.
is not safe being a man, because it's our duty to deal with adversity. I don't like white supremacy. I don't like racism, and I've dealt with all of that worse than most people have. Police brutality, everything else. I grew up in South Central, what became South Central LA. I know about it. Fritz, come and see here. Yeah, Kyle. You will present your papers, yeah? Hey, man, what you talking about papers, man? You mean like ID, man, like driver's license? You have your papers, yeah?
Right.
What you talking about? Carl, he does not have his papers. He's not good. Nah.
That's a really good German accent.
Yeah.
I'm glad
That was
that you.
LAPD. I mean, these guys they'd have these knee-high boots, you know. Everyone looked like he was riding on a motorcycle. That'd be scary. You walk outside your apartment, blank, instant daylight. Boom, 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 boom. This is a police air unit. A ground vehicle will arrive shortly. Remove your identification, hold it in your right hand, and make no furtive. That is quick, sudden movements, or a reaction accordingly will occur. Most people in America, what the devil is a furtive movement? Oh man, dude made the faded furtive, man. They shot him 17 times with six-sock revolvers. Wasn't but two of them. They reloaded on him. You know, that was reality. But now I tell you this, worst racism I've ever experienced in my whole life was back in Los Angeles when I was doing that show.
Wow.
That was horrible.
Okay.
That was just outright racism. I've never run into such insidious, open, and quiet and undercover racism in my life as Hollywood. And it is absolutely insidious that those racists set the tone in the behavioral patterns for so much of youthful Black America. They don't like
They do.
Well, take that back. If you are not straight, they like you. But if you are a heterosexual man or woman and you happen to have Black skin, they hate you with a passion. The worst on their totem pole at the very bottom are straight Black men. I have never seen so much stuff that in my whole life. When I first got out there, my show was just 18, well, not 18, about not even 18 weeks old. It was 6 weeks old. And they had a function at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. So this is back in 98. I was in my early 50s. I'm a bachelor. I'm enjoying dancing with all of the foxy, fine movie stars and soap opera starlets and everything. And I was having a good time. I hooked up with this one sister, and we got to sitting down, talking, drinking wine. And then she got up, went to the ladies' room, took a little while coming back. Hey, I thought I'd messed up or something. But when she got back, she said, "You know that tall guy over there in the gray suit?" I said, "Yeah, I do." He said, "Well, he offered me $2,000 in cash if I'd signed this note saying you tried to cop a feel on me." I said, "What?" So we went around, she went around with me, and we contacted each of the women I could remember dancing with, and we got a written statement from them that had been the case. Well, we set up a trap. We invented a fictional woman, and we filed these affidavits under seal with sworn affidavits. My associate, who was a good sister from Mississippi, she had been a former Miss Washington, D.C. She was real sharp, ultimately became the youngest licensed lobbyist in D.C. But anyway, we set this up. I'd hired her as my publicist, and we created this fictional woman, filed all the affidavits detailing each step we took. And sure enough, 6 weeks later, they called me over to human resource, over to the executives, and started talking about, "You tried to proposition this woman, so on and so forth." And I told them to go get screwed. I quit.
One moment. Let me go ahead. Let me go ahead and interrupt you for just one moment. Let me thank the chat. Let me go back up because I'm getting a lot of super chats here that I want to acknowledge. Several people. Thank you so much, Norin. Thank you for that contribution. And here we have Father's Time saying, "You got this, Judge, for the success of your campaign." And just to say this, Father's Time is actually the lead and the head of this executive team that runs this channel. And so this is who, this is Dr. Spencer Holman. And so we appreciate Father's Time for all of his work and all of his contribution. Thank you so much, 39 Dina. Thank you so very much. Okay, so, and there's a couple, one that I missed. I didn't want to miss you. Kathy Fields, thank you so much for your contribution as well. So I want to go ahead and glide right into something, because you said a lot of things that I kind of want to touch back on, because you were talking about masculinity. You were talking about, you even mentioned like your health when we were taking a look at your campaign page and all of those things. And one of the things that we primarily talk about on this channel is a value system. We talk about values in terms of us as a Black community, whether or not we have values or we lost them or we lack them. And we actually call that the 10 life value system. And this is a concept that was created by Dr. Spencer Holman. And so we talk about this value system, which we see is going from spiritual value to health value, which you mentioned your health value, our family value, our appearance, our dwelling, our mobility, our education, our profession, our leisure, and our wealth, and the things that we hold important in our community, and the things that we no longer hold as important in our communities. We also talk about what we call the lost value system, which is essentially that 10 life value system turned upside down or turned on its head. And so when we talk about our community, because I typically focus on the women of our community and how we fare and what we do and how we have a hand in the way in which our communities have gone, that Black women have also a hand in the breaking of our nuclear families, and in turn, the breaking of our communities and things like that. And so one of the other things that we cover a lot concerning that value system is why we can't come together as a community anymore. Like when we think about the Tulsa, Oklahomas, the Black Wall Streets that we used to have, the Rosewoods, and all of these wonderful communities that Black people used to have. We wonder why we can't recreate that anymore. We say it's because of a lack of a value system. We don't value spirituality. We don't value our health anymore. You know, we don't value being together and married and raising children together. You know, we have all of this single motherhood and, you know, child support and, you know, I don't need a man and all of these other sorts of things. So the spiritual, the health, the family, our appearance value, our women coming outside with bonnets on and twerking outside and all of these sorts of things. We don't value those things anymore. That's why we're saying that's why we don't have or can't recreate another Black Wall Street, if you will. What do you think about that? Do you think
the point is
that's it?
that
One moment. Let me fix this sound again because it's going out. Give me one moment, please. Thank you. Okay, here we go. My apologies.
all right, point is that what we are doing when we start focusing on Black Wall Street in Tulsa is what the military traditionally does when they mess up. They try to refight the last war instead of the one they're actually dealing with. It always messes up until they get beat down and figure it out. Tulsa, Oklahoma was only one out of the 121 urban centers that got burnt down from or massacred or invaded and subject to lynching and a lot of other things between the end of 1918 and 1922. So let's not forget the other 120 places. That even included Washington, D.C., where there was 4.5, 5 days worth of rioting, where rednecks tried to kill black folk until black Pullman car porters smuggled guns in from Baltimore, and former black soldiers got on the roofs with weaponry and started shooting back at those trying to burn down black tenements. The White House wound up, after encouraging this fracas, a Democrat in there at the time, Woodrow Wilson, and basically they called in the cavalry and they had to use them to put this down after a few too many days. Now, Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, that's not exactly the culmination of what black folk were doing, because black people didn't own any of the property rights. They rented everything in that town from Native Americans who had the property rights. There were other places where we had acquired property rights, but we don't talk about those. But again, that was a situation where there was this thing called segregation. Now, people talk about, man, what went wrong with the black folk if we had integration? Well, there are three concepts: segregation, integration, and an option. We didn't have an option. You see, in other words, it wasn't like we chose not to be co-involved. It's you couldn't. Boy, don't you even screw your eyeballs up to look at that there water fountain. Can't you read, boy? It's a color only over there. That's white folk. You don't even get yourself even drifting over there. We don't want you smell that. Mm. Or don't you even think about going in that there restroom. Mm-hmm. See, there's difference between segregation, desegregation, and integration if you choose. Now, all through the world's history, humans and prehistory, humans have been trying to trade with each other. We've got tendrils out all over the place where we interact with each other. Worrying about getting some black enclave again is fighting the last time we had this fight, which was when there was segregation. There is no segregation now that's legal. It used to be, well, boys, these folk don't feel like doing it. It stay right under the law. So you just get over it and go do yourself something else. We won't bother you now if you don't get too uppity down there. Keep your feet planted firmly on the ground. You can have what you have down there. See, I've ridden in a car, 5 years old. Mother and father were coming back from Tuskegee, Alabama, going to Jackson, Tennessee. That's before we moved out to the West Coast. My mother wanted to get something out of the glove compartment, so she handed me over the back seat, her little 6 or was it 8 ounce bottle of Coke, and I was carefully balancing it on my knee and holding it. We were too near one of these sundown towns, which is, you don't be around there, colored folk, after sundown unless you got a pass from somebody white that everybody know. Right. So we didn't, and he made a mistake trying to make up time, and you didn't travel during the daylight anyway. You only traveled at night, but we started traveling too early. And some racists, let's call them that, they decided to take some shots at the car. They didn't lead right. They could see my old man, and they were shooting at him, but they missed, so a bullet went through the back door on the driver's side, and it hit the Coke bottle, shattered it. The Coke went all over my leg and the floor, and I thought my mother was going to get mad at me. I talked to my old man about it because he'd been in the war, World War II. And I knew it was gunfire, but my mother was cool. She said, baby, just get out on the floor, and we'll worry about that later. So they put 3 bullet holes in the car. See, that kind of real. Or not, can my people eat here? Well, boy, you can get it out the back. No, thank you, sir. We won't eat here. Greyhound Bus Depot. They always let us eat inside, even in the Deep South. That was good. So I don't have any problems with the gray dog. Now, some other things I do. I can remember having a paper route in LA, a paper route, and we'd go stop at these donut places or diners on Western Avenue where they'd make donuts up and they'd give away the first batch or two to the paper boys because they were soggy, but we liked them. And I can remember signs up saying, "No colored, no Irish allowed." This is in California.
So do you think that, oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to go. Okay.
What we are dealing with is adversity. Now, adversity has been facing humanity for eons. It faces you every day, and the older you get, the more adversity you have to deal with, because the more it falls in your lap as somebody senior who has prepared themselves to deal with it. Now, we used to call adversity Simba, and we used to have to kill Simba with a wooden spear. And I know several African brothers who did that, and they're quite a bit different than those folk who have not. We dealt with adversity. So white supremacy is just another form of adversity. Prepare yourself and fight. And remember this, ain't nobody getting out of this here thing alive. So since you're going to die anyway, you might as well prepare yourself to die for a cause, or stand up like a man and at least go out with dignity. And that leads to another thing I wanted to get into, which is the police department. See, here
before we get into the police department,
I'm not going to get deep into it, but let me just say this first. The police are a 1-1 representation of the local political realities. If the police treat you like crap, that's because you have crap in the political game. And if you have elected officials, they are not doing their job to represent you. If you have appropriate representation, then the police treat you like anybody else.
Exactly.
Now,
so
we can go back to that later.
All right. So thank you so much. What I want to do is sort of circle this back around to our issue as a community, because we still have this issue when we're talking about white supremacy. I think a lot of us think of it as maybe this sort of, I don't know, flying spaghetti monster, almost a vague concept that we can't really, we know it when we see it, but we can't really define it and we can't really describe it. And here on my channel, on A Crimson Cure, we've brought some terminology and some verbiage.
Okay, let me go into that. Love to. We don't, well, I do. Some other people do, but most don't even know what they're looking at. And they go flock to white supremacy and love it. Now, you want an example? Black Panther, Wakanda 2, Women or Woman King. All right, most of the Tyler Perry stuff, most of the stuff where they talk about the B and the H stuff and moving grams and things that we like to, bounce to when we get to dancing, that's white supremacy. See, gangster hip hop rap video is very popular around the world because you got a lot of young men who want to be men that get down because they're straight young men. So they want to see masculinity. So they get this rap video that they love, and the people that finance it won't let anything change. That's why for 40 some years, it's remained kind of stagnant. I can go in, I can still throw down and dance, but it's a shame somebody my age can do the same dance somebody 20 can do if I feel like doing it and it's not too ridiculous. But that didn't happen before. So why is it now? Because it's stagnation. We're getting ripped. We talk about, yeah, man, I'm moving grams, man, got lots of chatter in my pocket, man. Like a lot of gold to be whoa, man, and ladies to be played. Well, what are you doing? That's white supremacy. but you don't even realize it. Why is it we aren't preparing to get to jobs? Why aren't we paying in school? That's not because of white supremacy. That's because we are fostering white supremacy on ourselves. See this whole going to schoolhouse, jailhouse pipeline? What that's about is there are not enough jobs to go around. And some of the white guys will go blow up a courthouse in Oklahoma City and play Timothy McVeigh, and the rest of the system doesn't like that. So they make sure that the jobs are reserved for those who will get real raunchy if they don't have jobs. So labor is like a commodity, like wheat, corn, or cotton. And when you have a commodity glut, you do three things. You cut back production of the commodity, you store the surplus, and you subsidize the would-be producer. Well, we store the surplus in a jail cell, not a grain silo. The subsidies, the public assistance check, and the cutting back of the production is the, yo, man, I ain't about that, man. When we drop out, bang out, drug out, get knocked up too early, too often, develop inappropriate attitudes, outlooks, worldviews, ways of carrying ourselves, ways of dressing where we stand out like flags, sagged and bagged, and a bunch of other things where we don't have vocational skills. We don't have academic preparation in order to fit into the bigger world, and we behave in ways sharing our music from 4 blocks away, yelling profanely across the parking lot to somebody on the other side instead of going over and talking to them, where what we do is turn our neighborhoods into chaos so they cannot be effective and cohesive politically and act for community self-help in a political fashion. We don't do that. And then when we get that first felony, then we really become unemployable. So we become surplus to the equation, and they put us in a jail cell to do something about warehousing us. And then there's a $1 trillion high growth industry to feed them, clothe them, shelter them, transportate, port them, communications and security that are involved. It's a gold mine for everybody concerned. And some clown says, if elected county librarian, I promise to be tough on crime. And you got somebody winding up in the White House in the Oval Office because one rock will get you 5 years, just like a whole kilo of cocaine. And he's got a crackhead son, but we seem to love him, but it is what it is. It's what we do to ourselves by not realizing what we do. I passed the mic. Am I still on here? Hello? You there? Hi.
Hello. Thank you, everybody, for being so incredibly patient. The lights, we had an issue with that, and the internet had to go ahead and reboot, which is why it took me so long. Thank you so much, Judge, for being super patient and holding my audience for me. I really
Well, if you didn't admit that, you missed a good one. I was a rare form.
I know that's right. So while we're here, let me go ahead and take my break. We usually run a commercial right about now. So after these messages, we'll be right back.
Okay, we're downloading A-Game's formula.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, so we are back, and listen, I know we, had a little bit of a snafu, but we are back on our A game. Okay, me and the judge, we both on our A game today. And what is A game? A game is the number one health support for men specifically. It helps supports a man's vitality, his energy, his strength, and his libido by addressing his overall blood flow in his body. It's a 100% natural, all natural solution. There aren't any artificial ingredients. There aren't any, funny stuff, no sugars, no caffeines, or anything like that to have different side effects or to make a man crash, because we know that when men are holding up their communities, when they're holding up their lives, when they're holding up their families, they have a lot of things that they have to do, lots of things on their plate. And sometimes it almost seems like there's not enough hours in the day. So what A game does is when it addresses his vitality, his energy and strength, he's able to get done some of those things that maybe he wouldn't have had the strength to do, or he was feeling lethargic and wasn't able to really do what he needed to do in his life. So this is where A game comes in at. So fellas, if you want to become part of the A game family, all that you have to do is click the link at the top of the chat at agameherbal.com, and please do not forget your 10% discount using the code Kendra10 so you can have A game delivered to you ASAP. And once again, I want to remind my subscribers and everyone to go ahead, and what you want to do is you want to go to Judge Joe Brown's website. That would be jjb2023.com. And what you want to do is you want to go ahead and you want to sign up to volunteer and receive updates, especially if you live in Memphis, Tennessee. And you also want to go ahead and donate to the cause, donate to the campaign. We have to be able to support a Black male leadership in our community, and we have to be able to support Judge Joe Brown in his mayoral campaign. So go ahead, sign up for the newsletter, go ahead and donate to the campaign. Okay, and I also, I got to do my thing, you guys. Bam, 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 bam. You got to hit the like button. Bam, bam. You got to go ahead and hit the like button, because we've got more than 1,200 wonderful people in here, and I'm so glad that you're here. And one thing, I'm going to show y'all a sneak peek. Y'all ready for a sneak peek? It's here. It's here. My book, my proof is here in my hand. Reclaiming the Black Feminine, guys. We're not going to get into it right now, but I just wanted to show everyone that it is physically in my hand, and I can't be happier, okay? All right. Thank you so much, everybody. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get back to business, because one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, Judge Joe Brown, was Black Lives Matter as an organization. They've come under a lot of heavy criticism lately because we've seen so many now different reports for the ex-founders, Patrisse Cullors, Alicia Garza, Opal Tometi, having misused the donated funds, especially the funds that came in right around when George Floyd was killed. And we know that there were at least $90 million worth of donated funds came to Black Lives Matter. And then it came out later on, probably like a year or so later, where they had purchased so many different properties, private mansions, land, all of those sorts of things. And essentially, paying their family members in various ways. So the IRS began to audit and come up with all of these different, like, wait a minute, where is this money going that's supposed to be coming to an organization where you guys are going to help the community supposedly, but this money is ending up missing. You got 6 million over here, you got 2 or 3 million over there. And so as a result, and as a response to that, on this channel, we have created a petition against Black Lives Matter. We created that petition, I do believe, in May of this year.
What's my opinion of this whole bunch?
Yes, please. Your overall opinion of Black Lives Matter.
Back in the 60s, we thought we had it going on. We really took off and started climbing. Civil rights was dead. We'd gotten all the laws we needed. We were trying to actuate the rights we now had written in stone. What happened is our efforts got defeated because of some pimps, simps, hustlers, con artists. We had snitches and agents who infiltrated everything, and you couldn't trust anybody. And so many were trying to use the opportunity to rip off the movement. We called it pimping the movement, or hustling the movement, or pimping the revolution, however you wanted to put it. And we are back into that now. What Black Lives Matter did is they took a concept that got popularized by a number of situations and they hustled with it. Now, if you went to their site that said what we believe before myself and some others started jacking them around on Twitter and social media, the first principle after all of the frou-frou said, we are for the destruction of the traditional nuclear family. Now, if there's any one thing that is sick, if there's any one thing that needs to be reversed, that's it. So here is this organization saying they are for the destruction of the traditional nuclear family. That is the instrument that has made all elements of humanity strong. It doesn't work without that, but here they are for its destruction. Last thing, third from the bottom of their what we believe, they had a proviso from the North American Man-Boy Love Association, a bunch of pedophiles that the FBI did do something good when they broke up. It's in there. If you went further in their site, it says for every dollar that you contribute to BLM, 1/3 goes to BLM, 1/3 goes to our primary affiliate, LGBTQIA+, and 1/3 goes to Act Blue, which is a Democratic Party fundraising organization. So you were not contributing to doing something about making Black Lives Matter. You were doing something else. You were actually subsidizing something that was going to hold us in a secondary position, was in our worst interest, was self-defeating, and was just a hustle. Now, further on from that, you saw something they had in there that they've taken down, saying by affiliating with us, we organize transportation and communications for rallies, protests, etc., and demonstrations. So they were using the organization, which they ought to be prosecuted for a lot of this disorder, including all of that mess you had going on for a year and a half in Chicago about the nightly fracas where the same 180, 200 people would be released from jail with low bonds or no bonds while all of the local black folk got kept in jails. They'd get out and they'd go clown around a little bit more. And I'd really question your mayor, Lori Lightfoot, about what that was about, and Kim Fox, your state's attorney, for what that was all about. Now, that said, they are not friends of black people. And if you want something, forget BLM, try BFM, Black Folk Matter, Black Families Matter, Black Females Matter, Black Fatherhood Matters, Black Finance Matters, Black Fealty Matters, that kind of thing. So you can get a concept if you just have to have one. But the real saying that was in place has been around for a half century. Take that Bauer fist that they tried to co-opt.
Exactly.
Power to the people. And that's what it's about. Power to the people. Now, power does not mean you know how to beg. Power
Tell
means
me about
you can impose consequences. Old white guy told me 45 years ago, he said, Lawyer Brown, I don't mean to be insulting. He just say, but you know, too many of these folk around here we got to deal with that look like y'all people, you know, all your people, they be crumpling their hats up, looking at the ground, shuffling their feet, and they talking about civil rights fight. That ain't no fight when you're down on your knees and some redneck beating you across the head until some more rednecks feel guilty about it. That's getting your behind whooped.
Exactly.
You got to fight back. White folks respect nothing but no bravery and no courage to stand up for something. And that's why they name places and trains after engines. They don't name nothing but Martin Luther King Boulevard after somebody black.
You're exactly right. That's a good point.
They after you folk, y'all don't fight. Say we be beating the crap out of each other at 19, 23, 24 years old and then best friends for life. Say you don't fight back. I got a damn Mercedes-Benz parked in my driveway. And the crowd shot me 3 times at the Battle of the Bulls. We got a Jap car out there, Japanese car out there, and my brother got shot 4 times in Iwo Jima by the Japanese. Say we respect them, they fight. When y'all gonna fight?
And you know what? On the back of that, we definitely have to fight all of the different things that come at us. One of the things, which is why I mentioned Black Lives Matter and why I mentioned the petition that we had, is at least fighting against or standing up against the hustle. We know we get hustled, right? So let me ask you this. Since we know about the hustle, how do we overcome it? Like, what would be your plan? What would be your plan as the mayor of Memphis for it?
Don't fall for it. And see, as mayor of Memphis, the constituency here, only 19.1% of the registered voters are white, but we have a white mayor. See, we got a majority black city council, but all of the basic officials, they're white because we get done in by the so-called leadership. They talk a good game and they pass out these little sample ballots on election day. Nobody pays attention and they vote for people that are not in their best interest. We had a now dead criminal court judge, Joe McCarty, Division 8 criminal courts. He had been Grand Dragon of the KKK. He'd been chairman of the White Citizens Council and got the black bloc vote every single election he ran for because he paid off the Negroes to put him on their sample ballot. Black folk voted for his racist behind, didn't even know it. And then when I became a judge, I cussed him out damn near every judges meeting we had every Thursday. And we keep doing this because we don't pay attention. It's time to get somebody in who can get the attention of the people, fire them up and say, hey, we're tired of this. This is not going to happen again. We got to get it together. Like the police department. We moan and groan and you hear BLM talk about the police department, but they don't offer any solutions. Defund the police. And hell, it ain't even safe to walk to your mailbox. It isn't safe going out your driveway in your car or going to work or getting out at the grocery store. And they want to talk about defund the police? No, control the police. How do you do that? Anybody have ideas? Well, do it the same way that the Defense Department is run. You don't have civilian oversight over the police. You have civilians running the police. You have a commissioner of police or a director who is civilian. You have sub-commissioners, just like you have the Secretary of Defense and you've got the Secretary of the Army, Navy, Air Force, etc., sub-secretaries. You need sub-commissioners over everything. Uniform patrol, sex crimes, traffic, burglary, robbery, homicide, you name it. and civilians control and direct the police department. The civil service uniform bunch, they're responsible for day-to-day operations and execution of mandates. You have civilian control, but nobody's talking about it. It's just defund the police. And then we find out that the affiliates, like in Minneapolis, Minnesota, what is that one BLM affiliate to spend almost $1 million on personal protection, courtesy of the city of Minneapolis, St. Paul, because he wants the police to fund it. We need to make sure that the representatives of the community are on the police department. We need to make sure that the community runs the police department. And in Memphis, since we have constitutional carry here, I have a plan to put that Second Amendment to use. It says a well-regulated militia being necessary for the common defense. Let's not have a bunch of bozos having unofficial militias. Let's have an official urban community militia set up where you get good citizens, retired first responders, that's cops, firemen, and whatever, veterans who don't mind going through the training, deal with that once or twice or 4 times a month, and going out on patrol and putting fatherhood back in the hood. Boy, come in. What are you doing out here at this time of night?
Exactly.
Hey, I don't want to hear it. Jamal, Tarek, James, where does this boy live? Well, I've seen him come out of that one over there. Your mama live over there, boy? Say sir when you're talking to us. You see we strapped, all right? Now get yourself back in the house. Don't want to see you out here the rest of the night. We're talking to you tomorrow about you getting something together so you can work. You've seen him, haven't you? Yeah, he's always out here hanging on the block, on the corner. No, we're not going to have that.
Right.
See,
so let me ask you this.
About putting order back in.
So let me ask you this on the back of that, because I definitely agree with everything that you just said, especially about putting order back. How important would you say that it is for the Black community to have Black male leadership reasserted, especially when you're talking about running or overseeing the police departments and all of these are all environmental things? How important would you say that Black male leadership in the Black community is for getting us back on track in these ways?
Well, let's put it this way. If you don't have the masculine leadership asserting itself in any community, it kind of goes to hell. I'm not downing women, but you ladies have some very important things that you do for humanity across the board, and you need to be allowed to do that. You don't need to fight the wars. And quite frankly, there's some things that need to be done that ladies don't need to be involved in. And I also think one of the things that women need to focus on concurrently or at the same time is teaching some of these young girls how to be women. We've got too many girls not becoming women and mothers and people that stabilize the community. They're becoming disruptive, and the term I use is girl-rillas.
That's perfect. That is perfect.
Girl-rillas. We need to get rid of that. And ladies, you got a job to get rid of that dysfunction that is being glorified. Now, there's some entertainers that walk around half naked, unattractive, and that's supposed to be okay, or completely naked, but that's supposed to be okay. Twerking in public, acting like heathen. And how is that supposed to stabilize a community that needs to be back where we used to be? We getting rowdy. Somebody said, "Oh, man, dude's mama walking. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. We didn't know you were here. I apologize, Or, ma'am, I'm sorry. Charles, man, I didn't know your wife was here, man." Now they walk in, they cuss more, they drink more, they get high more, they act more ignorant than the fathers, sons, and granddaddies, and brothers, and uncles, and significant others that they find in there. And see, it's not just about the boys. If you're going to be a mother, you have to train your boys to respect manhood and your daughters to respect it too. Maybe your circumstances are bad and you put yourself in a rabbit hole, but you can get out. You just have to recognize what you do. And see, fathers are good for girls too.
They're perfect for girls. And
to
this is exactly why I am. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say this is exactly why this is actually why my channel exists, for what you're talking about, to talk to the women. Right, to talk to the girls, because we can always talk about what the men ought to do, you know, and have a laundry list of what masculinity is and what men should do and how they should be leading and all of that sort of thing, which is fine. But my position, my personal position, is to let the men chastise the men, let the men get the men together.
Yes.
Somebody's got to get the women together. And that's one of the things that I actually do, and which is the purpose not only of the channel, but the purpose of my book that I just showed everybody, the Reclaiming the Black Feminine, and the tagline is The Lies of Feminism and the Road to Recovery, because I thoroughly believe that Black women's grasp and adherence to the feminist ideology that didn't have nothing to do with Black women, because Black men were not oppressing us. We were not being oppressed by Black men. So we didn't have, that was a white woman's fight with white men. And that didn't have anything to do with Black women. We had our own men, and we had our own structure with our men, and we understood our places with our men. And now we've got a situation where Black women have decided to be men, to oust Black men, and then tell them we don't need a man. You know, Zaddy, government can take care of me. I can get my welfare. I can get my Section 8. I can get help from being a single mother. I can get all of these different things from the society. So therefore, I don't have to accept my role as a woman. And I think that a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, but all the time now, Black women have minimized, and we've forgotten how important womanhood actually is, and fulfilling the gender role, fulfilling that submissiveness, being a mother, being a wife, you know, being in the home as much as you can to raise your own children. This is an extremely important aspect and cog of the family. And because Black women have largely abandoned that, this is where we're finding that downfall in our families, because even if the men get taught at some point, especially in their young life, okay, this is how you be a man. If he gets under someone like you or another mentor, male, and says, okay, this is how you become a man. This is what men do. This is how men operate in life. And he does that. How is he going to find the companion that he needs that isn't in his face talking about how she don't need him? So this is really, I'm glad we're touching on that, because this is really exactly why.
Up on that. 2 thumbs up. Now, let me say, you hit a home run on that one. It's okay. First point. How is somebody going to tell you how to love somebody when they hate themselves and hate everything else? Next thing is, there are some fundamentals that have to be dealt with, man or woman. If you are a guy and you're not about protecting and providing for it, nothing you do is worth a damn otherwise. All right.
You can keep going, but let me fix the sound.
If you are a woman and you're not about nurturing and raising, whatever else you do is not worth anything. It's man and woman. That's why we're here. What do you see when you see another human? Anybody. You see, well, I'll be polite since we're not on that kind of channel. I sometimes make a joke of it. Every time you see a human, you see a successful screw. All right. And the successful screw results in a pregnancy. Somebody gets born, they get raised, they grow up, they court, they have a successful screw, something else grows up. Is generational. That's what we're here for. That's the basic. Now, if you get away from that, okay, fine. Maybe you can contribute to somebody else doing it, but if you're tearing it down, that's wrong. Next thing, hatred, self-hatred. This whole thing started more than a half century ago when you got a coalition got put together. You had some weird white women and a few others that hated the fact that they weren't men. That's the feminists. You had the lesbians that hated men. You had the soy boys, the beta boys that hated that they weren't strong men. You had the gay boys hated they weren't normal men. And then you had the anti-war folk, male and female, that hated the fact that they thought war was of men. So you got all these people put in a coalition, and they swore up and down they were taking over the entertainment industry, the news industry, politics on both sides to create confusion so they could do what they do behind the scenes. And they wanted to destroy the fabric of society so that would open everything they wanted to do up to their doing it. Now, society doesn't work for long when the fabric gets destroyed or corrupted or weakened or rotted. Now, I'm not getting on anybody for being gay. That's their business. Get your freak on in your bedroom. But stop trying to groom these children. Stop trying to destroy the fabric of society. Stop trying to brainwash the young girls into thinking that somehow or another it's demeaning to be a real woman. Now, you don't have to have children. You don't have to be married, but at least don't actively get in the way of those who decide to do those things and raise families, because if you don't have any kids, you have no tomorrow anyway. You're gone once you stop breathing. Maybe there's a heaven or a hell, whatever it may be, but you ain't here anymore. But if you have offspring, as long as somebody that is a descendant of yours is around to an extent, you're still around. And just think about humanity as a whole. We go out and make all kinds of sacrifices and get all kinds of medals and are heroes and sheroes behind doing what's good. So get out of the way of the people that want to do it, even if you don't have the nerve. And if you're a guy, man the devil up so you can become a man and get up out your seat on that lifeboat and let a woman and or a child or children get your seat and get saved. Because you can die tomorrow, but they have to be around day after tomorrow. So it is a thing that we have to do. And thank you for doing that. And by the way, it does not hurt a girl to grow up around a father or a father figure. You know how that works?
Yes.
Daddy,
and you know,
Tamika and I going to the mall. Could I have $50? Baby, I just gave you 22 days ago, 20 a couple of days ago, Daddy, please. Here's 100. Don't bother me the rest of the day. Here, don't
exactly.
Here's 100.
Exactly.
Come on. And don't you hang out with them thugs. I don't want you with them hoodlums.
Exactly.
You hear? I bet not catch you riding back here with one of those thugs. You hear me? Yes, Dad.
Yes, I'm Dad.
She grows up how to do what she needs to do. The one ain't got no daddy. She said, look here, let me tell you what I'm going to make you do.
Exactly.
That doesn't work.
Exactly.
And you know what? I tell young girls this when I counsel them. I said, look, it's all about seduction. You're in high school.
To be feminine.
And ain't nobody going to get over if they come on, baby, drop your drawers. That's ridiculous. They have to seduce you. Well, if you want the guy to do what you want him to do, you got to seduce him too, which is, baby, you know, talk to him, get his ear.
Because your father actually teaches you how to do that.
Yeah.
Like you just
your
said, being around your father.
License to get in your ear when it's appropriate. And when I mean when it's appropriate, don't put a scene on out in public. You smile and wait till you get home, baby. Not tonight. What do you mean? No, not after what you pulled off. We need to talk about that now. About it in the morning when nobody's angry about it because mama's angry. But no. And see, he'll do all kinds of right. You know, he wants to get cut back on. You know, cut off. Oh, yeah, come on, not So you got his ear, but you get up there. I'm on. And to get out loud out in public, that's absolutely ridiculous.
Exactly. She's uncontrolled.
She's learning how to do it.
She's learning how to do it.
The other thing too, women and men are different. I don't care. You like to shop? Yeah, you do. Yeah. Because that's a sublimation of gathering. Men hate it. Baby, here's the money. Just the card. Just go get it.
Don't worry about it.
3 hours. They're all drying you off, all made out the same stuff. Just get some. And then you women, will you please just stop and ask somebody for directions? No, I can find it. My GPS going, would you stop and just ask somebody? You see, what's going on is the hunter's imperative to find the game trail over the mountain into the next valley, or to find where the deer are going, or the antelope, or the bison, or whatever it may be, or the buffalo, or the gazelle, so you can bring back the food.
So here's the thing. Let me interrupt you just one more time, because we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I understand that you have some other engagements, so I don't want to keep infringing on your time. But I want to, first of all, thank you so much for giving us your time and sharing with us your wisdom and all of these wonderful, this was a wonderful conversation that I greatly enjoyed and going to keep in my memory. Thank you so much for it. I want to, as we wrap this show up, you guys know what we do. We have a petition against the Black Lives Matter organization. Along with that petition, we also have a 6-step initiative, okay? And we've completed the first 2 steps. We've gotten that initial 10,000 signatures, and we've also had our initial press release for this petition that was going to be one of many. Of course, that 3rd and 4th step we are actively working on, which is to nominate a national leader for that initiative. And what we understand is that the person selected will be red pill. It will be a Black man who has a history of serving and has the best interests of our communities at heart and knows how to navigate both the social and the political waters. We've got step 4, which is connecting with other individuals and groups to support the needs of our community. And I told you guys before about how difficult it has been to get in touch with the various Black Lives Matter grassroots chapter because they're so unorganized. And of course, step 5 is going to be to incorporate a proven success model to build our communities across America to actually help. And last but not least, step 6 is to use the funds retrieved to help the Black men that are affected by the injustice. So we're holding Black Lives Matter organization accountable for their over $100 million theft in the Black community. And really the purpose of our petition is not only the petition, but that 6-step initiative that we just got through going over. Really the point of that is to do what Black Lives Matter claimed that they would do, but that they didn't, which was to actually assist the Black community all across the United States, utilizing that initiative. And I would love to collaborate with you, Judge Joe Brown, in the future, if possible, because I know that you have a plan for Memphis. We have a plan for the Black community. So would you be open to discussion about that?
With Dana about getting my personal number. Dana,
do.
Said you would let our delightful host here please get my personal contact 411, and yes, I'll help you with that. Always have been.
So much.
I'm not dead yet, so as long as I'm breathing, I have time. That's my commitment to people.
All right. Thank you so much for that. So with that, everyone, I want to thank everyone for showing up, for all of your contributions. And I want to definitely thank the executive team, the head of which is Father's Time, aka Dr. Spencer Holman. Thank you for all of your work. I'm going to go ahead and let the Honorable Judge Joe Brown go. Thank you so much once again. And we'll talk in the future, hopefully. Okay?
I'll talk until you fall asleep. But anyway, I got to go. This has been Judge Joe. Call me when you can, since I'm the one that's ran. Going to be the one that ran. JJBin2023.com if you want good government and a haven to retire to or displace or remove to. If you want some good sauce so you can enjoy your time before that time, JJBBBQ.com. So I'm out of here. Thank you very much, my dear. It was an experience being here. That was a little rhyme for your time. All right.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, everybody. Before we completely sign off, I do want to apologize for the super chats that I've missed. I'm not able necessarily to go all the way back to them, but please understand, please know that I appreciate each and every one of you, for that contribution. I couldn't ask for a better subscribership. I couldn't ask for better support from all of you. So I definitely want to thank you so much. You know, that was an experience, wasn't it? That was an experience, was it not? Was it not? I cannot believe it. I can't believe it. I want to show you guys something as well, because I want everybody not only to go to that website, but because we are all about giving over here, right? So this is what we're going to do. Everyone go ahead and go over to the website. That's JJB 2023. JJB2023.com. If you're in Memphis, Tennessee, please go ahead and cast your vote for the Honorable Judge Joe Brown. Okay, go ahead and support Judge Joe Brown's mayoral campaign. That's going to be at this website. Okay, make sure that you're able to go. Make sure that you show up in the right website, JJB 2023. Make sure that you vote. Make sure that you donate as well and sign up for the newsletter. I already signed up for that newsletter. So, you know, we are all about supporting Black male leadership here in every way that we can. So once again, I want to thank everybody for coming through. It's been such an experience, such an honor to have you guys. And with that being said, I'm going to wrap this up and I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, Crimsonites. Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor, who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.